Backstage with Broadway's best. Behind the Curtain with Joan Hamburg on 77 WABC, where New York comes to talk.
And welcome to the Joan Hamburg Show. I'm so happy to have you with us today. I told you about a theatrical experience that I had not long ago. I went to see the Pinter play, Betrayal, which I had seen, but I never saw it like I saw it this time. It was always my favorite Pinter play, but this Pinter play at the Jacobs Theater on West 45th Street was really something special. And you can tell because we do a lot of stars, a lot of people in the movies, theater, even in the art world, but the kids who work here were like, what? They were so excited because Tom Hiddleston from Adventures, Charlie Cox, Daredevil, Zoe Ashton, who's got her own play while she's in a play, running off-Broadway in a big theater. They were all so excited. And these three have been doing Betrayal, and they look so happy. Oh. And there's a lot of betrayal. There are a lot of different things going on, but actually there's one betrayal with a lot of different little side things. So, guys, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having us.
No, we're all excited. And we'll start with you, Tom. Had you ever done this play before? I know you did it in London.
No, never. So I read this play when I was a student, when I was training at RADA, at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and I read it when I was 21. And I read it in one sitting on a wet Wednesday afternoon in the library, and I thought maybe one day I'll be lucky enough to do that play properly when I'm older. Of course, the intervening years went faster than I expected.
It's always that way. You look up and say, what happened?
Suddenly, when it was presented to me, I thought, no, I'm still too young, and I read it again and realised these characters are in their late 30s, so I'm almost too old for it. But I've always loved it. I've always loved Pinter. And it's been one of the great pleasures and privileges of my acting life to do this play for a year. We've done it since the beginning of February.
Mm. And the play goes backwards, which we'll let Zoe explain, because you too have been in it for a year at least.
Yes, it's crazy to think about how much we're still discovering, seeing as we've done now 203 shows spread between London and here. So the chronology of the play is a huge part of the experience of Betrayal, I think. It begins with the end of an affair with two people, my character Emma and Charlie's character Jerry, who've come to the end of a very, very long affair and are moving into very different directions in their lives. And there's a real sadness to it, there's a humour to it, there's a nostalgia to it. And as you start to work backwards through the play, you are introduced to the betrayal of the friendship between Robert, Tom's character, my husband, and Jerry's character. Then there's the betrayal of their children and betrayal of Jerry's wife, and you get to the end, which is the beginning. And what I find very painful, and what I know people who've seen the play find very painful, is just how hopeful everything is right at the very last moment. And like Tom says, the years go by very, very fast. The years go by,
and it's one affair. And yet so many betrayals are surrounding it. Mm. And what the audience, too, is you're all so good with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the perfect menage a trois. How did this happen?
There's always someone left out, usually,
right?
And we just haven't experienced that.
But it was staged. This is just my point of view. The staging, I thought, was brilliant.
Thank you.
That someone is on stage. You're all on stage all the time, which is fantastic from an audience point of view. Mm. We can't let go of you. Mm. You're there, reminding us, if we look up, if we look across, of what's going on. Best friends who went to school, who worked together, the wife of a best friend. Mm. And how can these lovely people be doing all this? And no one is to blame. Now, you guys know more than I do. How does Pinter do that? You know, I always want to say, who did this?
I think he understands the world of
Charlie
so deeply. Don't you think, Charlie?
Yeah, you know, I think he presents three very realistic humans. And, of course, we're all flawed, all deeply flawed. And what I think he does very cleverly is he reveals to you very slowly at his own pace these flaws that these characters have. So you meet two people and you see and you experience a nostalgia, a lost love, something that was at one point clearly very lovely and full of beautiful emotions that withered and died. And you feel sad about that. But then you learn towards the end of that sequence, that opening scene, that there was a betrayal involved, that it was, you know, another man's wife and this man's best friend. And then, of course, so you kind of feel like this third party is potentially the victim. But then you learn things about the husband that is not so favourable, and your allegiance changes throughout the play. And I think like you said, we want to pigeonhole as much as we can. We want to vilify people and find a fault and find the reason why something bad happened. But often it's not that black and white. It's not that simple, is it? And there's multiple parties are to blame.
No, and because the characters are so attractive, it even makes it harder, you know, and it makes you really think. I mean, a play is 90 minutes without an intermission, which is perfect because you don't want your head stopped for anything, even M&Ms with peanuts. You want to just keep on going. And this, Charlie, is your Broadway debut?
For all three of us, yeah.
3?
Yes.
Oh, that's really exciting.
It's been wonderful.
And the next day, that review was just stunning.
Good. I still haven't read it. I honestly could not think of a better way to end this year than bringing this play to Broadway, because as you say, it's all three of our first times here, and I think we've all had a really, really profound experience on this play together as people as well as actors, and the fact that the journey has continued, and you know, the reception has been so warm. I feel like this is one of the most grown-up roles that I've ever done. I don't think I've really played many wives or mothers or, you know, certainly not many in this exceptional circumstance that my character finds herself in, which is married and having a 7-year affair.
Yeah, pretty good.
We also, it's very lucky. What a wonderful privilege to make our Broadway debuts, having had 4 months to practice it. You know what I mean? Like it's when you decide to do a play and you go into rehearsals, you have no idea how it's going to turn out, whether the dynamic between the characters is going to work, the chemistry is going to be there or not. You know, it's always hit or miss. There is no formula. And so, having had such a wonderful experience and a successful run in London, for us then to be presented with this opportunity to come here, knowing to some degree at least that it works, was such a it takes the pressure off a wee bit, you know, and that's a lovely
well,
privilege.
The three of you seem like you're so compatible, even though you shouldn't be, because people know the secret, which isn't a secret, but, you know, that's our enigma. Like, we like these people, and they're so interesting, and they're doing interesting things. 7 years, and they each have kids.
Yeah.
I know.
We're great friends, and I think it shows in our production. I think we all like each other immensely, and that's maybe part of the sadness that people are feeling in this production, is that the chemistry between us is genuine. If we hated each other, it might be a very, very, very different
anger.
show.
Well, I think that's
what a great point that is. Sorry.
Yeah, Tom.
That's the that's the precision of Pinter's writing, is that there could be in a depiction of an infidelity or a betrayal, there could be so much animosity, so much hatred, so much anger and retaliatory cruelty, but he never forgets that these are three people whose lives are intertwined, and ultimately they love each other. They all love each other so much, and it's only those we love who have the capacity to hurt us most deeply.
Right.
And so he doesn't present them as unattractive people. He presents them as people whose lives are inextricably linked, and then breaking those links is what makes it so painful.
One of the
Such
the
a
first
thing.
things that Robert says on the confirmation, learning about the betrayal, is that I've always liked Jerry. Always liked Jerry.
Your good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your good friend. Well, you have to admit he had good taste. So, there's an important point
Absolutely right. I agree wholeheartedly there, Jane.
that he had that. And is it true, Zoe, that you literally started performing as a kid, 6 years old?
Yes, I did. That's very true.
Where were you? Where were you brought up?
I was brought up in London, in East London, and it's just one of those funny things whereby a hobby turns into a career. But the thing is, I have to be honest, it was never really a hobby for me. I was a very intense child, and so I knew early on what
This
I
was
wanted
it.
to do. And one of my favourite actors of all time is Jack Lemmon, and I watched a documentary on him years ago, and he said I was a very strange child because I knew what I wanted to do from the age of 8, and that was act. And I thought if he had the same feeling, that
There you
maybe
were.
I'm not so crazy. But like I said, this feels like a coming of age, really, for all of us, I think, as actors, to be in such a grown-up piece that deals with such intense feelings and playing characters that are so close to our own ages, and in a modern context. We're not setting the play in the 70s. We've brought it up to date.
It's interesting.
It feels like it really resonates and resounds in all of us in a very
And
profound
then,
way.
in your case, bringing your own work too to
Yes.
a theater group where it's full of feelings and emotion and different characters. So it's all coming together.
I'm just basically trying to be Harold Pinter, is what I'm doing, Joan.
Why not? It's
Actor,
possible.
Writer.
Channel.
in
You've
Betrayal.
channeled him.
I've channeled him for New York. Yeah.
It's okay. You can always bring him back when you need him, right? And Tom, did you start too as a kid, or?
Excuse me. I always acted, and my cousins and our families used to put on plays at the end of the summer for our parents and our grandparents, which are hilarious looking back. And I acted at school, but I never committed to it seriously until I was about 19.
And what was the commitment?
I actually was in a play at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Which is a
in
terrific festival.
1999, yeah. It was just after I left school. I was 18 and was in a play there. It was a production of Journey's End by R.C. Sheriff, the First World War drama. And it was really then I was about to go to university, and my experience with that play slightly changed my relationship to it. And so at university, that acting became my primary extracurricular thing, and I got very serious about it then. I think I'd been keeping it a secret from everybody in my life as a child, thinking, well, I'll do something else. I won't tell you I'm going to be an actor because I know you'll all tell me not to do it. And then when I was at university, I thought, right, here we go. This is what I'm going to do.
And it started working.
It did. It did, to my great surprise.
Early on.
To my great surprise, yes. I picked up an agent when I was in my second year at Cambridge, and I got some acting work in the holidays, which was great. It beats working in a bar. And played very, very small parts in some television films, but I got to watch some great actors on set. I got to watch them watch real professionals at the top of their game. I did a film about the life of Winston Churchill in the 1930s, and I played Randolph, his son, and Winston Churchill was played by Albert Finney, and Clementine Churchill was played by Vanessa Redgrave. So I remember going on set at the age of 20, and these Albert Finney and Vanessa Redgrave were playing my parents, and I was about to play a scene with both of them where Randolph is sort of raging against their parental control. But I was so nervous because I was having to be petulant to Vanessa Redgrave. But I gave myself a talking to in my dressing room saying, hang on, no son is nervous of getting cross with his parents, so you've got to get over these nerves and do your job.
And you did.
And I worked that day, and then it was actually Albert Finney who said I should go to drama school to train.
Fantastic.
So I was very lucky start.
Well, you know, a lot of people have luck and they don't see it. It's those who say hello luck and grab it who end up in the right place. So you did what your heart told you you had to do. Not everyone does that. And Charlie, what about your story? I mean, you guys are like legends. If the kids here who are into television, things I never even heard about, well, like, oh, look who's coming.
So for me, I was at an all boys boarding school, and on the weekends we'd all get together and go and hang out with the girls at the local girls' school. And when I hit kind of the age of 14 or 15, I had terrible acne. My face exploded, and I was very shy and became embarrassed.
That's tough.
So I wanted to find excuses not to go and hang out with the girls. So I got into drama. Got involved in plays.
Right, it's a perfect place to hide.
Yeah. But of course, the great irony was that there would be women girls in the plays with us, and so I'd end up having the much better relationship with the girls than all my friends who were chasing them around up on the.
Fantastic, and the acne went away. Nothing like confidence to help all around. Now, this play is closing fairly soon, which is very sad. You know, the other thing about it, it's so beautifully staged that I almost felt like I was in a painting. Aww. You know, there was a stillness about it when it started, and it was like you were all coming out of a canvas.
Yeah.
It was the three of you standing there, the light. Did a fabulous job on that, and I've seen this before. And I'm sorry that you're having a short run. You want to go home for the holidays?
I think it's schedules and it's different things, but we are extremely sad too to end on December 8th. How many performances? It's another 40.
We have 40 left.
And to have done 203.
That's a lot because it's so intense.
Yeah, but it almost feels like all we need is a 3-week holiday, and then we could come back and do it for a year. But the boys are looking at me like I've lost my marbles. But honestly, it's been the most incredible experience. And as you say, our production is a character in the play. The stripped back nature of it, as you say, the artistic nature of it. We had an incredible guest in, the artist Marina Abramovich, a couple of nights ago, and she's one of the world's most creative artists and an artist who uses endurance in her work, and I found myself kind of feeling really akin to what she does, because we are in a space that does feel like a painting or a piece of art or an installation, and yet we are all summoning such intense rich emotion within that space, and we've had to do it for a very, very long period of time. So it is an endurance piece of art in many ways, and the thing that endures the most, I think, is Harold's work and his words. You could fill any space with those words,
exactly,
and have a meaningful experience.
And then on to the next, something exciting. Are you going to all take a little break, or are you going to start with something else? Are you going to do a movie, a TV?
Yes, I'm off to my character from Avengers.
Of course.
He's
not staying still for too long.
So his name is Loki, and what's extraordinary is I signed on to play that character and for one film, and it's grown,
and look what happened
grown
to
into
him.
Something extraordinary, and we're going to make a a mini-series for Disney Plus called Loki.
How fabulous.
About Loki and all his adventures and his twists and turns. It's one. I feel again I've lucked out in that regard because the character is the god of mischief, and so I see it as my professional obligation to arrive on set and have as much fun as I possibly can. So I'm off to do that for the next 6 months.
That's a gift. And Charlie, you too?
No, I'm gonna, as you say, I'm gonna take some time with the family and see what the new year brings.
Happens.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're still writing?
Yes, so I've had, as you very kindly said, 2 productions of the same play for all the women who thought they were mad. One in London, one here in New York at Soho Rep. Thank you. It's definitely for me.
It's definitely for me.
It's an invitation to you too, Joe.
It's for all of us.
It's for all of us. So once the one in London closes this weekend, and the one here closes November 24th. I have the paperback of my book that I released this year coming out in February.
Your first.
Yeah, my first book, Character Breakdown. So I think writing is going to take up the first half of next year, and I direct as well, and I'm really, really keen to do something full length potentially after having done lots of interesting shorts, so we'll see.
Well, we wish you all the best. Come visit us again. Thank you. And Betrayal, you heard you don't have that many more performances at the Jacobs Theater, 242 West 45th, and it's an hour 30, no intermission. New Yorkers love that because most of them commute, so you get home at a decent hour.
We love you, Joan. This has been the most warm, lovely chat. You've been so inspiring.
Well, come visit us again. We
you.
love theater. It's life in this city. It takes away all the stuff that drives everyone apart because we sit as an audience unified in what's ahead of us. And what greater gift than that?
That's it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you soon. I'm
Thank
Joan
you.
Hamburg. A wonderful evening, matinee in the theater. Stay tuned. You're listening to WABC.